What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's been a few weeks. We took a week or two off, some scheduling conflicts. You guys know how that goes. We got QJ and Tears here today to do another episode of the EW Wrestling Podcast. Guys, how we doing today?
Uh, I'm doing so far so decent. That's the best I can say at the current moment.
Doing
Yeah, what
pretty
about
good.
you? Yeah, that's good. It's good. Tears, I'll start with you. What do you think of WrestleMania? I know you only saw night two of it. What were your overall rating and thoughts of the show that you seen?
Uh, from what I heard about night one, it was kind of a lukewarm with some good matches, but some that kind of felt like and But about night two, I thought night two was really enjoyable. Most enjoyable show I've had in a good while from WWE, and I don't know if that leads to any thoughts or process about the near future. But I would say it's a really good, worthy main event or a WrestleMania.
Oh, it was really good. QJ, what about you? What do you think of WrestleMania overall?
Pretty good. They gave the fans what they wanted. We had some title changes. Um, it's that main event, the second night. That was our big turning point right there, and they finally gave us what we deserved. And I like storyline, everything played out perfectly. Uh, it was great.
It was really good, and nothing in the main event really was out of sorts. Like, yeah, it was supposed to be Stone Cold over Undertaker, but Undertaker still made a lot of sense. And to me, it made it even more shocking. Like, oh shit, no, none of us expect the Undertaker to show up, so it made it even better. The thing that shocked me was Sami Zayn winning. That's the one thing that kind of just threw me a loop. But like, I know there's some fans out there who are mad that Gunther ain't getting his rematch. They're not having Gunther take two losses to Sami Zayn. So for any of y'all pissed that Gunther ain't getting his rematch, it wouldn't make zero sense to have him get pinned again. So they're better off just keeping Gunther kind of where he's at. But let's get on with the topic. So Damian Priest cashed in, and I thought it was a well done cash in. And I was looking at more stuff the other day. Drew cost Priest a couple cash ins. So if you really look at it through a lens, it actually makes a lot of sense why he would cash in on Drew, because Drew screwed him like three times when he tried to cash in. And Drew kind of did to himself. But it's been reported maybe Priest to have like a short title reign. This is kind of them gifting him for his hard work and everything. So Tears, I'll start with you. Would you be satisfied with a 2 month reign, and what do you think of the cash in overall for Damian Priest?
Well, to answer the first part, I would have to say it really depends on how they do it, because I don't want it to be a situation to where like he has a 2 month reign and only one defense against or one individual, or like two defenses against the same individual. I want to see like what he can do as a champion, how they present him as a champion. Will it be as good as it I want it to be? Probably not, but not everybody's first world title reign is like perfect. We could have the whole debate about Seth Rollins' first world title reign. Some people say it's good, some people say it's bad. I say it was palatable. So I think that would be a good way to describe it, is to where like let's just hope that it's a reign that we could say, okay, now we want to see him have another one, instead of a reign to where like, okay, let's not ever do that again. But to answer the second part about the cash in, I think it was a really good cash in, and I like that you mentioned that Drew did cause them because. But keep in mind, Ed, I think it was Clash of the Castle. Was
Yeah,
that the
yeah,
one
that's right. Clash at the
where
Castle.
Priest tried cashing in mid match?
Think so.
Right.
Might be
But
right.
let's just not remember, or let's remember that on the Raw, Drew said, "Why'd you cash in the match? You could have cashed in after I won." And Drew really needed to rethink that, because guess what? He did cash in after he won, and Drew said he would be okay with that because he would have done the same thing. So I don't want to hear Drew being mad, because he said so himself. He would have done the same thing. He said that Priest would do the smart thing if he did that.
Yeah, I mean he did, and it was really well done. And like I've seen a lot of comments about like Drew was getting screwed, but like Drew got the moment he wanted. He wanted to win a title in front of a live audience. Plus, he hasn't re-signed yet, so it's like maybe WWE said, "Okay, we'll give you the title. if you re-sign down the line, we'll have you on Punk feud, but right now we just want to get Priest his moment. I feel like they're doing something like that. But QJ, what was your thoughts on the Priest cash in, and would you be satisfied with a 2-month title reign if that's what they end up doing for Priest?
Cashing was pretty good. I was waiting, like he got to cash in eventually. It kept stalling it for so long. We'll keep having failed attempts. It's pretty good. And with the 2-month reign, if they go that route, it'll be something. You gotta give him his moment, see how it is. Fans already saying, "Oh, we don't want him. He already born." I'm like, he ain't even do nothing yet. They so quick to judge, and nothing even happened yet.
I do want to point out also that I'm kind of glad he had a long time with the briefcase because we're kind of used to at this point people having a short time with the briefcase, and also he did also bring back custom briefcases
Yeah, that was
for
dope.
him.
That is true.
So I would hope that we get more long-term Mr. or Mrs. Money in the Banks. Am I gonna believe that we're gonna do that? Probably not until depending on who's the next ones to hold it. So, but I'm glad he cashed in at Mania. Made sense instead of just like waiting. Probably because weren't we talking about at Mania, Icon, that they were gonna cash in at Money in the Bank before he had to give them the briefcase?
Yeah, something like that. He had like 3 months to cash in to like June, I think.
Right, and we were questioning like, is he gonna cash in here or is he gonna cash in at Money in the Bank? And that would have been funny. I just
Yeah,
wanted to
that was.
point that out.
Well, before we move on to the next topic, I'm just gonna ask y'all: would y'all want to see him and Finn Balor feud? Because they've been teasing that a lot. I don't know if that's something they're setting up for Priest. But QJ, I'll ask you first. Would you be cool with the Priest and Finn Balor feud? It looks like Judgment Day's eventually gonna split because they've been making it look like Priest is not happy with them beating up people. Would you mind seeing that feud?
Yeah, one mind. We win groups. We always want to see them have their one-on-one. See who really the best. Those always bring out the best matches.
Hell yeah. Tears, what about you? Would you mind seeing a Finn Balor and Priest feud for the title?
I got two things to add to that. One is like they were kind of teasing that back when Rollins was world champion. Like both of them wanted the shots at Rollins for the belt, and it was summed up because of Rhea Ripley. Like the two need to work together, and then they wound up being tag team champions. So that was intriguing. Now that Rhea's not gone, it would make sense that they would have a little bit of an influx between the two again. Um, and this one comes from like and this next part, by the way, that means like yeah, I'd be interested for them to actually have a match. Um, but this comes from like the fan base that I've heard in my area. Like a lot of people are saying like without Rhea Ripley, there's no reason to have the Judgment Day, and I'm kind of like as a fan of the Judgment Day, it's like I kind of don't want them to break up, but I would understand why they would because without Rhea Ripley, it's like kind of odd to have them. I don't know why.
I would agree because I mean Rhea's kind of I mean it ain't even kind of she is the star of the group. I mean when she's with the group it's just a different aura about it. When she's not there it's kind of it's still, they're all still good, but I feel like Rhea's like what makes Judgment Day whole as a group. Like she's
She's
just
the
like
glue.
yeah exactly. Well, speaking of Rhea, she's in our next topic. She got injured by Liv backstage. She had to vacate the title. There's been a lot of people pissed off about it because they said, well, Rollins was hurt and he took 2, 3 months off. Why is Rhea vacating the title? And Rollins and Reigns didn't have to, and all this other stuff, which I could completely get that argument. But, Tears, I'll start with you. What do you think about Rhea vacating the title? And should fans be pissed off at Liv? Because there's been a lot of fans kind of irritated with Liv injuring Rhea.
I don't think there's a reason to be mad at Liv for that because that's kind of like one of those things where like you can't control that. And once again, this goes by something I said in the past with the podcast. I think this was about Sammy Guevara. There's so many people that have done worse injuries to people. If we're getting mad at everybody, then we got to be mad at wrestling itself. Injuries happen, accidents happen. So there's my point about people being mad at Liv. It's not in her control. So your reason to be mad is kind of misleading or like misguided. Now about the whole double standards about Rhea vacating the title, I got two words for that: story relevance. It helps the story. about Rhea vacating the title, and people were saying like Liv could be the one to be holding the title when Rhea comes back. That would help their story with each other. Because
It
keep in mind,
definitely would.
it was Rhea Ripley who first injured Liv Morgan. It would make sense for when Rhea comes back, it would be Liv that was holding the title. I think her vacating the belt actually is a good thing, depending on how they do the storyline.
Yeah, I agree. 'Cause I feel like this is kind of something Liv needed. Not that the injury obviously was intentional or anything, but like Liv Morgan seems like as a heel seems like it could be kind of fucking awesome. Like she's been kind of this baby face where she comes so close to winning and never wins, and now she might get a run with the title again. And it really could be like a double turn type thing where Rhea comes back to a big pop and she's a big baby face and everybody wants to see her kick Liv's ass. And I think it'd be really cool as a story. But QJ, what do
Well,
you think about fans? Oh, go ahead, Ters.
I was gonna add one last thing, and plus the main thing that would cost is like, is there any plausible way for anybody to have beaten Rhea Ripley for the belt at that moment?
Nah, there ain't much people left,
Because I
really.
will say they kind of overbooked her to the point to where like it was kind of unbelievable for anybody to be here. So this was probably the best case scenario.
Oh, it definitely was. QJ, what do you think? Do you think fans should be pissed to live? And what do you think about Rhea vacating the title?
I think it's good Rhea vacated the title. Fans shouldn't be pissed. I gotta understand storytelling. Plays a big part. What goes on, and this is very good storytelling right here. And so she comes back, get her revenge. I can feel the big pop. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Ready for it.
Hell yeah, especially Liv as a heel. I think Liv could be pretty good damn heel. We'll have to see how it goes. I mean, it's kind of a good thing because I mean, Liv could face some different people. Plus, they're doing a draft, so they can shake up the rosters, maybe do some
Hmm.
different stuff, call up some people. But speaking of WWE and the draft, and they've been talking about this is Triple H's era. I'm kind of getting tired of them saying that every fucking week. I'm not gonna lie, because they say it constantly. Especially Cody. It's a new era, the Triple H era. We know. Y'all say it every week now. We know. But QJ, I'll start with you. What is your overall thoughts on the Triple H era? Any positives? Any negatives? Anything you'd like to see? What are your overall thoughts?
He's been doing pretty good. He's been pushing my favorite Ricochet. He's been winning a lot more. I think he should be in that main title picture soon. Um, been doing good. Giving superstars their moments. You can see the change. You just gotta continue what he's doing.
Yeah, it's been a good run for him. And for anybody who thinks Vince is still involved, WrestleMania was the biggest middle finger to Vince McMahon you could ever see in your life. So anybody who thinks Vince is secretly running, no, because they wouldn't have Prime in the middle of the ring. That was a big no for Vince. They wouldn't be saying professional wrestling. They wouldn't be doing any of that. So Vince is gone. But Tears, what do you think about the Triple H era?
Uh, I've been seeing a lot of people talk about eras instead, and I forgot who mentioned this. I was watching someone's podcast. I just can't remember who it was, and I feel bad now about it. But they said it's never really called an era. It never has a title for its era until it's over. Like the Attitude Era wasn't called the Attitude Era during it. They just went with whatever. Ruthless Aggression Era wasn't called the Ruthless Aggression Era. It was just something that was caught on by fans after the time period. So I wouldn't really call this the Triple H era because we could easily just say, well, then NXT was the whole Triple H era, and it still is. So that would be weird. But I would say our current era of WWE is probably our most enjoyable for modern day fans. And I've been seeing like how older fans of WWE, people who who were watching the Attitude Era, they're not really still into WWE because they grew up with people like The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Rikishi, and all that, and they're not having a lot of good words about modern day WWE. But for fans who are actually watching it, investing money and time into it, we're all enjoying it. So it's one of those things to where it's just like it's for the time period.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about like where you grew up, or I mean, like for me, it's just been a good run. I mean, I feel like like obviously Raw and SmackDown like ain't gonna be the most exciting shows on a weekly basis. The same with AEW, the same with Impact. They save the best for their pay-per-views. That's how it should be. Like yeah, you're gonna get good matches on the regular shows, but really it's all about just like the pay-per-views and long-term booking and building up the matches on the shows more than having like great matches. But like I like what he's
And
doing. I'll go ahead, Ters.
I, I was gonna say I prefer that because remember when we heard like Vince was planning on having it to where the pay-per-views lead to the shows, like the
Yeah,
pay-per-views start feuds and shows ended them. We were all being like, that makes no sense. Then why would we buy the pay-per-views, or why would we invest time into the pay-per-views or whatever they call them nowadays?
premium live events. I think that's what they call them
Sure,
nowadays.
whatever. But it's just
Yeah,
like now those live events feel, and I did air quotes right there, like actually, now they actually feel important because they could be the things that end feuds, break up teams, make teams, start new storylines that lead down to other shows. Like they feel important, and that's what we all need. We need shows to actually feel important.
yeah. With Triple H, he's made them. It's just been a whole different. When you look at a Vince show compared to a Triple H show, and thank God Kevin Dunn left because that's been like the biggest breath of fresh air when it comes to production. You're not seeing 1,000 camera cuts every single 10 minutes.
The Edge
It's just a
return spear.
yeah, just everything. Like it's just a cleaner production. More wrestlers are relevant. There's more organization with Vince. Apparently, he was forgetting what even went on last week, so they were just kind of just improvising every single week just to carry the Vince. So that's why everything was just like a complete clusterfuck on regular shows. Like Triple H knows what he wants to do. He has a long-term story in place, and they're going to do that. And I think it's going to be great, especially the Bloodline story. Seems like they got that planned out, and Tama Tonga's there now, and Jacob Fatu just signed, so they got a lot of stuff they can do. They can really go multiple directions. So kudos to Triple H. Vince should go to hell. Screw Vince. Hopefully justice goes to him if he's, you know, guilty of whatever he did. But let's talk about Seth Rollins. He recently had, pretty sure Becky said meniscus surgery, which he was having a bad knee for a while. That's why he didn't really wrestle for a while before WrestleMania. But his title reign ended. Drew beat him. A lot of us expected Rollins to lose. His contract is up this year, which a lot of us expect him to re-sign with WWE. But Tears, what do you think of the title reign overall? He was the first champion or title holder of that title. So what do you think of his title reign?
I'd say you would also have it right the first time, like he was the first champion of the Big Gold Junior, as I call it. Um, I say, even though we knew, like during the whole run, he was hurt, like pretty much right, like majority of the time he was hurting even like all the way back. Uh, I thought that it was actually a pretty good run. We saw a lot of people who we wouldn't typically see in the world title scene. Like I said, we saw Nakamura go for the championship. When was the last time he did anything in WWE?
It's been a minute,
I
not
feel
gonna lie.
so bad for saying that. Um, and every one of his matches was actually memorable for one reason or another. I mean, yeah, someone who would have a negative about it would be like the Judgment Day were always there, like in the corner, doing their own thing for the world title. But it didn't feel like it was just Rollins versus the Judgment Day the entire time. Also, like he always felt like yeah, he had his own feuds against people for the belt, and the Judgment Day were just there to keep Rollins active week by week in case his feud opponent was not able to be. So it kept him active, which makes sense because the other belt, the Universal belt, was not active. So yeah, people could say like if kind of was the secondary belt to the Universal, but you can also say like it was true that was the workhorse belt. It was like the belt that was always on the show, always putting on the top matches, always a match that you want to pay attention to because you're just wondering what is going on. So
Yeah, it
I
was
would
like
say
the
it
workers'
was,
belt.
yeah, I would say it lived up to being the, whereas the Universal belt is the one that gets all the spotlights. The Workers' belt is the one that where you put in a lot of work, you deserve this belt championship.
Yeah, it's like the old school IC title, like the workers, man. Like everybody who holds it. Even Priest is known for his work, like overall. And yeah, I mean, like I know Reigns. I didn't really appreciate Reigns trashing that title. I know some fans will say, "Well, him and Rollins hate each other," and it makes sense. But it's like y'all want to make this title equal to Reigns, but Reigns is sitting here saying it's garbage and ain't nowhere near his title. They just didn't really treat the title good at first, but I think they're kind of getting back to that now. QJ, what do you think of Rollins' title reign and I don't know, just his whole title reign in general? Is the first person to hold this title? What do you think?
Yeah, Seth Rollins is always go back to him. He could work. He could put on a good match with anybody. Um, we knew when Seth Rollins sold that title, we already knew we was gonna see some classics. We've seen people in the title scenes we haven't seen in a while. Um, it was good. When Drew took him out, I feel that's how champions should be taken out. Should take about 4 to 5 finishes. And I don't know, he just work in that ring. Just enjoy what he do. I look more for work. Obviously, storyline plays a part, but I look more for work. That what he's doing, that's what make me want to tune in. Same to how Cena when he held the title. That's why I like tuning in because you know you're just gonna see someone different. And that title was always up. That's what championship should be all about. Yeah, storyline could be good. Yeah, you could talk on the mic. To me, you need to show what you can do in that ring and prove why you deserve to be that champion for a very long time. And got my flowers. So
He had a good reign, and the impressive thing is about it, he was injured like while he was doing this, like knee injury, the back injury they mentioned isn't just a kayfabe thing. He's actually had a bad back for a few years now. Like Rollins is he's just an Iron Man. Him and Drew were like guys who were just Iron Man, and like you always gotta respect workers. Rollins is a star, whether you like his gimmick. I'm not a big fan of his gimmick, but I still like his in-ring work. And hopefully he just take. It's good that he had. Well, obviously it's not good he's hurt, but it's good he's taking time off, relaxing because I mean he was working his ass off for like 2 or 3 years. He didn't really take a lot of time off. And sometimes it's good for wrestlers to get a break. I enjoyed his title reign. I really enjoyed a lot of his match with Nakamura, and him and Drew had some good match, especially at Mania. I thought that match was really well done. And it was just time for him to lose, and he can go off, take a break. Maybe him and Cody feud for the title down the line or something. That could be interesting. But Rollins is one of the best. There ain't no question about it. But WWE did release a few people this week. I'll just throw this in here. Xia Li, Jinder Mahal, Veer Mahan, Fear the Veer. Tears, any thoughts on any of these releases? I know they ain't the biggest stars in the world, but any overall thoughts?
It's a lot shorter than the typical after Mania like releases, like because normally we get like a whole 2-page essay of like 16 to 32 names. So the fact that it's this small of a list is actually surprising.
Yeah, maybe they got more on the way or something, but yeah, that's pretty surprising that they didn't really release like a ton of people. QJ, what
Not
do you think
saying
about it? Any of these releases?
I mean, yeah, I ain't using them. I mean, it's time to go. If I ain't being used, I'll be ready to leave right away.
Yeah, for real. Jinder really, like, yeah, he showed up to do a promo with The Rock, but like, really hasn't been used in like 4 or 5
That's it.
years.
I
Like,
mean,
that's crazy. I think he's been with WWE. Might get this wrong, but I believe 2012 or 2013. So he's been there 10 plus years. He won the WWE title, but that was really just for promoting in India. I don't know. I mean, I think Jinder's a solid wrestler. I don't really think he's that bad. It's just when WWE made him
it's
WWE
just bad
champion.
timing.
Yeah,
It was just
exactly.
bad timing in every case of the word. And as soon as they realized you cannot sell Jinder versus Brock Lesnar, like that was just like, we got to do something about this.
Yeah, that was not going to be good. Thank God they switched plans.
And then we got AJ Styles versus Brock, and
And that
that
was
was a
actually a good
really
match.
good match.
Yes, it was. Everybody else on the list, Xia Li. I think Xia Li could low key be good. She just never really got an opportunity. I mean, WWE's women's roster is kind of loaded, so I mean, I didn't really see. Maybe she'll go to like Impact or something and kind of get her feet wet there and try to make an impact. And then Veer Mahan, I mean, I actually read some
He,
comments. People pissed he got released. I mean, they didn't even have him debut till like 9 months after his promo packages. People, he wasn't gonna do shit. Let's be serious. But dude, you were saying what?
I was saying, like, I just want to point out, like, we're not happy that people get released majority of the time. I would say 90% of the time we aren't. Like, we don't like when people lose their jobs, but when they want their releases, like you said, Gender did, like, it's all fair for it too.
Yeah, I mean, they have rights. I mean, that's with anything. You're gonna lose. Wrestling business is to be hired and get fired. That's pretty much. Unless you're a star, you're probably gonna get released at least once. I mean, Drew and Cody either got released or asked for the releases at one point. That doesn't mean somebody can't come back at one point as a bigger star. It's just at that moment we just don't really need you, and that's the unfortunate part of the business. But there's only so many spots in one company, and there's a lot of opportunities out there wrestling. So hopefully they all find, if they still want to continue to wrestle, find opportunities somewhere and hopefully be successful. But let's talk about Roman Reigns. He ended up losing. His historic title reign came to an end. Seems like he's going to be taking some time off from what it looks like. Apparently, he's going to still have a lot of say in the Bloodline story. He's still giving his input on that, so he's still going to have a lot of input in how that story develops. But Tears, I'll start with you. What do you think about Reigns' whole title reign, and are you going to miss him being around as much?
I think during the title reign, it makes sense why we were all so frustrated. Is because it felt like it was going on for way too long. It was the same type of interference at moments. It was the same type of promos during the feuds. Like it felt like it just didn't go anywhere. But now that it's over, I can see why it was frustrating. It's because they wanted us to be frustrated. They wanted us to finally lose it. So when he finally did lose it, we would have such a big emotional reaction to it. So I would say it was booked how it should have been. It was booked to where we all really did want the title run to end, and when it does, it was definitely one of those situations where like it felt gratifying that it finally did. Um, so I would say it was good. Now, will I miss Roman Reigns? I'm gonna straight up say no. I am glad to finally have a break. I know people are gonna say like he was a part timer. Why are you happy? There was a break. Like we barely had him. Well, I'm glad we have a break because now we can actually see the belt as well. um, so I'm okay with him having as long of a break as he wants because we all need a break from him as well.
Yeah, because even though he wasn't around a lot, he still was just the guy. And every time he came out, it's just like, yeah, yeah, we know you're unstoppable. You haven't lost. All this other stuff. It's just his title reign for me just kind of got repetitive after a while, especially with the constant interference from Solo and Jimmy, and
Mostly solo.
yeah, it just became where it's just like we already know you're gonna have a decent match. A few of his matches were good, but he just never really impressed me in the ring. And I get it, to be a main guy in WWE, you don't really have to be the best worker. I mean, look at Cena and Hogan and Stone Cold and Rock; they weren't known for really their in-ring work, so I get it, but. It's kind of expected more, but QJ, I know you have a lot to say. What do you think of Reigns' overall title reign? Are you going to miss him being around as much? Even though he wasn't around that much anyways, are you going to miss him being around for a consistently long period of time like he was?
Roman Reigns, I mean, all I can say is, I mean, I was glad it's all over. We looked through all these matches, all these defenses. No, it didn't really trigger me. I can't really go back and watch a Reigns match. At least with Cena, I could go back and watch it. Reigns, like if he's like, you already know the same outcomes. They kept doing the same thing. You don't have him at least win a few matches on his own. Not saying the bloodline can't be out there, but um, missing him, nah, because at least I will actually see the title. At least it'll make me want to kind of tune into the shows more because I see, oh, Cody's now he won the title. He's gonna be facing this guy. We'll see more working. him is like the stats was just padding really much work, and he was taking off certain pay-per-views. Shouldn't be doing that. I feel if you're a champion, you need to be defending it every pay-per-view, every single pay-per-view. You need to be defending it, and at least make a special appearance on SmackDown, do a match, get people more in tune. But yeah, I feel like they just shoved it kind of down our throats for Reigns now. And they did really good at that. Now it's over. Now people saying it ain't gonna be the same. They already saying Cody Reigns is born. He didn't even get started yet.
It just started.
Like
Been
I'm
like 2 weeks.
hearing nonsense comments already. They say, we need Reigns back, y'all."
No, we don't.
I'm glad he lost, and I'm glad he is done for a while. I'm glad. We can see more working now.
Exactly. And fans bitching and moaning about Cody. It's been 2 weeks, and he is wrestling a backlash in 2 weeks against AJ Styles. So I mean,
That's
they just had,
fun.
yeah. But, fans, y'all got to realize they're doing a draft, so they're not going to get a big time story set up for Cody when they don't even know what the rosters are going to be like yet. They're just getting Styles, going to put on a good match, and then whatever they do with Cody next, they'll do with Cody. I mean, like, fans gotta have patience. They want to rush it too much. It's like, I don't know. The fans complain too much. Reigns will be back. It's already being rumored they're gonna do a new versus old bloodline match at Survivor Series. Which, who knows if that's what they're actually gonna do? But sometimes it's good to just take a break. He'll be back, and he'll face The Rock next year at Mania. Even though it's been rumored The Rock wants to face Cody more than Reigns, which we'll see. But it's all about just letting it play out. Cody will be fine. He's a good worker. He can talk. Got plenty of opponents he's not faced yet in the back. He'll be completely fine. Just have to see. But, I mean, fans I'm not saying don't complain, but sometimes y'all just jump the gun way too much. It's just so irritating. Especially the Twitter universe of fans. It's just like, my God. It's just.
Bloody Twitter.
Yeah, or X, my bad. X is what it goes by.
Who cares?
Meta.
Yeah, whatever. It's.
Social media, how about that?
Yeah, social media. Well, there's toxic people everywhere on social media, so we'll have to see what Cody. I mean, maybe Gunther faces him down the line. That's a match they've been wanting to do for a while.
Maybe Kofi can get a chance at a world title again.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Which
I've
actually
seen fans
brings
complain
me
about
to,
Kofi too. He's been
that brings me to
buried.
something that I just found while we were prepping for this.
And what is that, Tears?
There's been talks, like I went to check this article. I can't remember because how long we've done this podcast. There's talks that maybe the New Day isn't going to be able to work in this new era of WWE. Like maybe we have to break up like the idea of the New Day. I don't know about that one. How do you guys feel about that? Like the New Day potentially, as a rumor, being disbanded, like completely.
That'd be something.
I mean, they've done everything there is to do as a team. It don't sound like Big E's going to come back from what it sounds like. So
Might as well.
Yeah, I mean, Woods would be a really good solo guy. I feel like Woods never really got his opportunity to really be solo. And
I mean,
for all the
most of
fans,
was King of the Ring.
Yeah, King of the Ring. Yeah, you can do that. But like, for all the fans saying Kofi is buried and all this other stuff, look at Kofi's accomplishments in the business. Like, not everybody can be winning forever. Like, there's always going to be an era of like, okay, Kofi was good here. Now it's other time for other people.
Yeah.
I saw fans come because they had a triple threat number one contender match between Regeneration X. I think that's what Ciampa and Gargano were called, which is funny. The Creed brothers and New Day. And fans are like, oh, New Day didn't win? It's like, bro, look at all the tag title reigns they've had. Like, DIY or Creed brothers.
They do not need to be winning.
No, they don't. It's just like, but.
That probably is what started the whole, like, talks about, like, the New Day probably being done because of this new era and, like, they wouldn't work with it.
Yeah, I mean,
work in it.
Every team, like no team lasts forever. I mean, even the Hardy Boys, everybody thought they were going to last forever. And I mean, every team breaks up to a certain point. And I got two more questions for y'all before we wrap this up. One, do y'all want to see Matt Hardy back in WWE? Tears, I'll start with you because I keep seeing it's your easy answer.
No.
Because he's a free agent. I keep seeing everybody
I don't
talking
care,
about it.
no.
And I'm good. No.
Let
Yeah,
him do
WWE,
his freedom of creativity
Mm-hmm.
anywhere else.
yeah, WWE doesn't really need him. What about
He doesn't
AEW?
need
Do y'all
them.
want to see? Yeah, you don't. What about AEW? Should he go back there? Should he retire? Should he go back to Impact? What should Matt Hardy do when y'all's
Let's
opinion?
retire.
Yeah, he's
I
getting.
like Matt Hardy, but yeah, I'm also
Uh,
going to lean towards retire.
He
Wrap it
definitely
up.
should. He said he's got 2 years left in the tank. He wants to help younger talent. He said that's why he wants to still wrestle. Which I mean,
Matt Hardy as a manager?
he was a manager
Question.
for Private Party for a while, so maybe we'll see. I mean, Matt Hardy's always going to be a legend, but sometimes it's just like it doesn't really matter where you go. You weren't relevant in AEW for a while. WWE has so much people. It's just it is what it is. And no, Jeff Hardy's not coming back to WWE with him. Stop saying his Hardy Boys are coming back, y'all. Jeff Hardy is washed. I'm sorry. Jeff Hardy was great in his prime,
But
but
it's over.
yeah,
I'm
he's
not going
not,
to
he's not,
apologize.
yeah, it's over. But final question for y'all. They had Gable and Sami Zayn on Raw. Very good match.
Mm-hmm.
Gable turned heel after the match. Are y'all looking forward to a Gable heel group potentially with the Creed brothers? Tears, I'll start with you. What do you think about the Gable heel turn and him forming a heel group?
I think it's an interesting choice to make him a heel right now because it seems like he was hot. To turn him heel, that's a interesting thing to do. But I can probably understand why they would do it because, well, he's like frustrated because the fans know he was hot. He knows he was hot, and yet they didn't do anything. So maybe that would work, but I don't know. I am looking forward to it because I think the Creed brothers work with him in general. But I don't know. It's just like it's one of those things to where like I remember a long time ago Punk talked about on a podcast, a certain podcast that we all know, to where like, oh, he's the hottest thing, turn him heel. Then all of a sudden his revenue, his merchandise just drops. So I don't know if that would be the same, but it's giving me vibes to where like you got over, we're gonna turn you heel now.
Yeah, it's odd timing. I could see why they did it because he's just frustrated. Like, you know what? I just keep losing these IC title matches. I'm tired of being nice. It's gotten me nowhere. So I could see why. What do you think about Gable turning heel?
I think it was time. Saw it coming. And he had his moments. Couldn't, didn't get the job done. Came up short. It's like, all right, it's time to go the other route now.
Yeah, he's got to be mean, Gable. I low key thought he was gonna turn heel at Mania when he looked at Sammy and said, "You're gonna owe
Mm-hmm.
me." After that, I really thought he was
Yeah.
just gonna come out there and screw him. But we'll have to see what direction they go. I hope Gable eventually wins something. I mean, he's been there like 10 years and still hasn't held a
He
singles
needs to.
championship. I mean, come on, like it's just. But this is my final question. I promise. I just thought of this when Tears mentioned Punk. Final question. Tears, what do you think of them showing the Punk and Jungle Boy footage on AEW? That has
Of
been the
course you'll
main
be
hot
asked
topic
about
going on.
this.
Yes, I had to add it. I apologize for our audience. I have to ask this question. So, Tears, I'll start with you. What do you think? Did you think that hurt AEW? Did good for AEW? There's just been nonstop talk about it. That is for sure.
I think it hurt them personally. So like, this isn't something that you should just like air out to the public because it feels like at the specific moment you're just trying to make a certain individual who left your company look bad, and that's why I'm airing this video out. I'm just sitting there being like, no, this is not something. This will be like if uh they aired the video of back in '90, I can't remember what, where Bret Hart just legitimately punched McMahon in the face after the Montreal Screwjob. Like, you don't
Yeah.
do that. You don't show like backstage fights, and you know it's not going to lead to anything because Punk's not coming back to AEW. Jungle Boy is mad at AEW. Why would you show something that involves two individuals who aren't in positive viewpoints of you in particular?
Yeah, it's not a good look, and it really made Tony Khan look like an idiot because he said that line like, "Oh, I feared for my life." Punk had me. What did he do? He just walked up to you and started yelling. Are you scared of someone yelling at you or a boss? Like, it just made the Young Bucks look bad. It made Tony Khan especially look
It just
bad.
made everybody look bad.
Yeah, it didn't do nobody no favors. It's just AEW, I guess, trying to, in their mind, capitalize on Punk's interview about them and saying, you know what, we'll try to make Punk look bad. And Punk doesn't look bad. He literally said everything that happened, and most of it did. So it's like, what are we doing? But QJ, what do you think about this whole Jungle Boy and Punk real
They
fight
just
being
fools.
shown?
Fools.
Yeah, pretty much
Complete
sums it up.
fools.
Yeah, I don't know what Tony Khan's.
And it didn't work.
No, it made them look really bad. It's just
And then they keep bringing it up.
yeah, it's some stuff is just better just left to be left just in the grave.
Keep
It's
it to yourself.
yeah, it's especially a real life fight that like Tears of two guys ain't even really with your company anymore. Well, Jungle Boy's still technically signed, but he's not.
Quote
I don't
unquote,
know.
technically.
Yeah, but
On paper.
yeah, on
And
paper.
that's as far as it'll willingly go.
It's an interesting move. Obviously, AEW and WWE are constantly taking shots at each other, which I'm not a fan of. I kind of just get tired of it because it's just like worry about your own fucking company after a point. But I've heard, I don't even remember if it was Meltzer because Meltzer's just so stupid now. It's hard to take anything he says to relevance anymore. But I think maybe it was somebody else. They were like, well, Jungle Boy's going to come back as the ultimate baby face now after all this. It's like, is he? He got choked out. So, I mean, and he caused y'all to lose your biggest star in the company. So, I don't know.
It's not a good look, no matter how you try to spin it, because everybody can always see more of the negatives than the positive. The moment you see more negatives than positives, you just lost.
Yeah, it's a GG for you. Yeah, it did AEW no favors. Hopefully they try to recover. There's already been fans making memes saying that was the death of AEW after showing that. I wouldn't go that far, but it was not good.
It's a moment of weakness. It's not a death blow.
No. But they do need to get better at booking. Mercedes Moné, yeah, we'll have to see. They have a pay-per-view. The card looks really good, so I'm looking forward to watching, especially the Ospreay and Danielson match. I hope that match, it's going to be fire, that match.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, there's no way it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
Just hopefully Brian doesn't try to kill himself, like he tends to.
Hope not. We'll just have to see what direction they go, but any final thoughts from y'all before we wrap this episode up?
I'm in favor of Moxley as IWGP Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, that was cool. He's the first, by the way, anybody don't know this, he's the first ever wrestler to hold the AEW, WWE, and IWGP Heavyweight title. So that's a cool fun fact. And yes, I'm on that board of thinking he was going to show up when the Shield music hit. I am going to admit, I thought he was going to show up when that happened.
I had
We all
a
did.
split moment in my head to where, like, hold up.
I'm like, no, it can't be.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. That was funny.
The reason I thought it would happen is because, like, I can see Triple H being that guy to where, like, can we just have him for one night? I can see him, like, bad beef aside, because we got Punk back, for God's sakes, like, being like, can we just borrow him for one night?
Wouldn't have been a jaw-dropping moment, that's for sure, if he would have showed up, because that would have been...
Then Rollins came, he got clocked.
Yeah, Rollins got just fucking... Oh, that was funny. But, yeah, good for Moxley. There's still fans holding hope he'll return to WWE one day, which I'm not counting it out, because everybody does, but he don't seem like he's a fan of WWE, at least under Vince, so who knows how he feels about Triple H, but...
He mentioned somewhere a couple of years ago he only has so many more years left, and inside WWE he wouldn't be able to do what he wants to do.
That's true, too, yeah. They pretty much had him kind of be a PG era himself.
Not just that, but it's just like legitimately WWE style would not be able to allow him to do things. Even nowadays, like he would not be allowed to do what he wants to do.
Yeah, he's hardcore to the fullest. Hardcore Moxley, always having hardcore matches. So WWE be like, nah, definitely not. Well, we're wrapping this up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure you comment below what your thoughts are on any of our topics. Make sure to like and subscribe.